Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the world you are. Hope you're doing great. Here we are with another session with Zero to Hero from Microsoft Learning Rooms, and together with Nicholas and Adedaji. I hope I spelled it correctly. So happy to have our professional speakers here with the subject of integrate GitHub Advanced Security and Workload Federation Identity via Azure DevOps, which sounds exciting. So thanks for joining, for taking time. I have several sessions and not going to take that much time. Just quickly talking a little bit about community and Microsoft Learn, what are the purposes and how you can make most of it and take benefit from Microsoft Learn. So it's actually the ship that we are all on it, going through learning Microsoft technology. So we are going all the same path, learning in a daily basis, facing challenges, and Microsoft Learn actually is the richest place ever that you can find anything related to the day-to-day stuff, and also all the communities, all the sessions that we are joining. Doesn't matter if you're joining as a speaker or as a learner, as a listener. If you're in the community, you see or you hear different kind of technologies and services, and when you want to learn and read more about it, so Microsoft Learn is the place. So make it your homepage and try to check it in a daily basis. Try to go through different customized paths, join to learning rooms. You can also use aka.ms/learning rooms to check for all learning rooms within Microsoft Learn Tech community, which is a great place that everyone is together, from learner to student to fresh graduate to professionals from all over the world. It's a great opportunity to make network and talk about technology. Here we are talking a little bit quickly about Microsoft Applied Skills that you might have heard, and the differences between Microsoft certifications is that you validate just one specific skill here with Applied Skills in a project-based, comparing to Microsoft certifications, which is a role-based, and it covers actually a broad technical proficiency. When you take, for instance, a 900, 104, 305, so you have to be prepared and prove that you are proficient with that skills that are falling with 305, 104, or any other role-based certifications. However, with applied skills, you do the exam on demand and also on scenario specific skills. For instance, in this case, let's say you are skilled and proficient with Microsoft Azure Monitor, and then you just do the Microsoft Azure Monitor applied skills examination rather than taking the whole exam certificate with Microsoft certifications. As mentioned, it's on demand. You can start the exam whenever, wherever you want. However, with Microsoft certifications, you have to schedule and be there prior to start time, 15 minutes to 30 minutes to prior to start time, and you need to prove your identity together with the proctors, and then the exam will be released. And here, with applied skills assessment via interactive lab experience, here you get a lab with access to Azure portal and tasks in a project, and you need to execute them one by one. And at the end of the applied skills exam, you will see your score and you will get the certificate. However, with Microsoft certifications exams is interactive elements. With that said, with this session, as usual, we have a 50% discount for Microsoft Fundamentals and role-based or advanced exams. So try to be prepared through the session and prepare your questions and ask your questions. And at the end of the session, our speakers will choose the most challenging and best question, and we will be providing you with 50% of exam voucher to get certified. I hope you might heard about the Microsoft MVP communities and student ambassador communities together with tech communities and learning rooms. So we have Microsoft Next Gen Heroes, which are student ambassadors program within the community. It's mainly focused on Microsoft student ambassadors and students. So all the sessions are customized if you are new to Microsoft Cloud technologies, especially Microsoft AI, Azure, data, whatever the technology is. So we will have sessions in there. So our student ambassadors will prepare sessions in there, which are tailored for student ambassadors and students themselves. So stay tuned, follow the page on social. So we have sessions every month with Next Gen Heroes. Last but not least, we have code of conduct. So being aware of each other, being friendly and patient, welcoming and respectful, opening to questions and viewpoints, understanding all differences, and being considerate to others. Thanks for joining again. With that said, I'm going to bring up Niklas and Adedeji. Welcome. Hello.
Hello, hiya, welcome. Nice to be here.
Thank you. Nice having you here. I'm gonna add your slide on the screen. Okay. Now adding the screen on the page that you shared, Niklas. However, it's not showing up. Could you please reshare? I can't hear you, Nicholas. I guess you're muted.
I said I can see on the screen.
No,
Can you see? Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I can't see. I can't see anything.
Then it's my problem.
Let's reshare.
Okay,
let me
amazing.
reshare it then. Let me reshare it. So put it back up.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you see it now? Oh, okay. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Good luck. I will be in backstage. Then stage is yours.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello everyone. It's nice to be here. I'm Adedeji Aolisi, and I've got my friend and my colleague here, Nicholas. And today we'll be talking about how to integrate GitHub Advanced Security and workload federation identity via Azure DevOps. I will be talking more about the GitHub Advanced Security, and Nico will be talking about the workload federation identity.
Federation identity.
Federation identity. So yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah. So in this agenda, we're going to talk about first the importance of workload federation identity. Why is it needed? The importance of it. Touch base on the security of the development lifecycle for code, like when you commit it to GitHub or Azure DevOps for GitHub Advanced Security. Talk about how workload federation identity works, why use GitHub Advanced Security in Azure DevOps compared to GitHub, and the benefits of both, as well as showing a demo of each. And then we're gonna do some tips on how you can secure your Azure pipeline using federation identity, and we do a conclusion on both. So just want to say a huge thank you for getting us speak to in the Microsoft Zero to Hero community. Big thanks for the organizer, Saeed and Hamid. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for for giving us this opportunity too. So thank you, Saeed and Hamid. Yeah.
So who am I? So I'm currently a senior platform engineer working for a Microsoft partner in Belfast, Ireland, called Canos, and I'm a Microsoft Azure MVP. So I'm primarily focused on infrastructure as code and DevOps, especially Azure itself in public cloud. So I'm a huge community fan. So I love giving back to the community. So I'm like a blogger, speaker. Should not put new speaker. So and then enjoy like helping people stay up to date in technology, like Azure and cloud. You can reach my blog here, and you can follow me on social media there from a link-free account.
Yeah, so I said in it previously, I'm Adedeji Aolisi. I'm a cloud engineer, and I work with SS&C Blue Prism, which is more of like an AI or RPA product company. I've got 10-year experience in IT now, 5 years in the cloud space. Got lots of certifications. I'm a Microsoft MVP too. I have my blog too, www.adedeji.com. And then, yeah, that's my LinkedIn link too. So you can connect if you've got any questions or anything, just reach out to me. I'm also a global speaker too, and I just help, newbies, and help them to adopt technology and just teach them new things and new features. So yeah, that's just a bit about me.
So to get started, we wanted to discuss the importance of why we need to use Workload Federation Identity in Azure. In order to use it, you can see it's quite new features. Recently got GA, I think, a few months ago. It was released last year. And you can use it to connect both Azure DevOps or GitHub. No, wait, sorry. It's a connection between identity, your trust relationship between your Azure DevOps resources to Azure infrastructure, and it eliminate the need for past secrets here, like secreting in old time service connection. So the new old service connection get rid of add secrets, but for the new workload, it uses the OIDC in modules protocol, which get rid of the secret itself. So there's more of a protection in place because we wanted to limit all secrets. And you can see it's like a centralized management of authentication and authorization between Azure DevOps and GitHub. So it's a seamless authorization. And it's also what compliance is also another key benefit, because federation identity help meet industry standards because it keep the best practice. For example, you apply some of the best practices like access control, promote and secure your trusted environment in GitHub to Azure.
Yeah, so looking at security in a software development cycle, we need to make sure that during each stage of our software development cycle, your planning stage to your implementation stage or to your release stage, you have to make sure that you maintain security in it. And we all know that application security, vulnerability is very important, and this could be the reasons why most people get hacked too. So software development lifecycle is more of like the framework that maps your entire development processes from the beginning to the release of your software. And looking at that diagram, you could see like from the code section, we have your developers that could come in, write up the code for your application, and then they push it into like a continuous integration, which is more of like, all the developers merging together and then, automatically testing the code before it goes to like a continuous deployment, which is like, deploying it into production. It just shows that during all this whole process, we need to make sure that there's security, there's a security input, and checks and balances in it. And this is what GitHub Advanced Security will do. And then it will look at, your secret scanning. If there's any secret being exposed, it will do like a code scanning to check if there's any vulnerabilities in the code. It will check if there are dependencies, security vulnerabilities too. And then after this, then you then do your monitor it too. So this just shows that from the planning to the implementation to the release stage, security has to be like a major vital concern within an organization.
So how does Workload Identity Federation work? Is that first, on the right-hand side of this diagram, you can see the external workload. You need to request a token from the external identity provider. It could be like GitHub, GitLab, or Azure DevOps itself for this instance. And then once your token has been requested, it would send an external token to Azure AD, but now it's Microsoft Azure ID, which would then issue and validate the token using OIDC issuer and some audience URL. And once the token has been validated with the OIDC, it builds on number 4, will build the trust relationships between OIDC and Microsoft Azure ID. And once that trust relationship has been validated, that is correct, then then the Microsoft Azure AD would be protected. So all your would be able to have access to other resources. For example, the Azure resource, you can use web apps or app service you want to deploy. So you have other resources if you need as well.
Yeah, so why do we then use, GitHub Advanced Security in Azure DevOps? So what are the features that this brings? So number one, it brings like secret scanning. So, sometimes when developers write code, they could expose some of their tokens, some of their keys, some of credentials. So what it does is it does like a secret scanning. It scans all your repository and then, creates like an alert or an alert on any secret, and then he exposes that. And then he also does like a secret scanning repository too. So depending on how many repository you've got in your project, it does like a scan, and then he looks for any exposed secret or anyone that could have been committed accidentally, and and creates an alert based on that too. Apart from that too, we've got like the dependency scanning, which detects like the open source components in your source code and looks for any associated vulnerabilities with it. So we're allowing you to check for any impact of change, maybe when there's a merge pull request being done, or you just search for any known vulnerability in any open source. And this could be direct, vulnerability on like, or transit vulnerability, which I'll be showing in my demo too. And then we have like the code scanning too, which analyzes your code that you've got in your repository and to find any security vulnerability in it, or if there's any coding error, it sends an alert or it just lets you know about it, and then looks for any security vulnerability within your code. And the code scanning uses like a code QL static engine to identify any code level application and vulnerabilities to, which could be maybe SQL injections or any authentication bypass. And then when it notices this, it creates like an alert, and then you can then create issues based on this, and then create backlogs as developers, and then try to resolve the issue.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the benefits of using combined both, benefits of using both approach.
Yeah, so the benefit of using both is that it helps in secured workflow and faster deployment. As I mentioned, it helps you with your code scanning, checking of your code and any secret scanning, any exposed token keys and any dependency security, creates an alert based on that. It helps with secret protection too, all within your DevOps project. If you enable this from the organizational level, it looks at all your project, all your repository, and creates alerts on that. And it's a more secure approach, to storing of your code, versioning of your code, the usage of it and deployment of it, and then there's also secret protection too. It helps you to protect your secret, and also helps you to remediate it, because you could create issues with it. Your security team could, pull this into like Microsoft Defender, and then they'll be able to see it and then nudge on the different application team to be able to resolve this. So it helps to create like a secured workflow and a faster deployment for your applications.
Yeah. So you can also use it to improve your security. So you can also, by integrating workload federation identity, you can protect your code as well in your projects. So you only know your Azure DevOps infrastructure is being trusted by OIDC modules that it can communicate to Azure, your external one cloud provider. And it's just that trust relationship, really, that you just feel a comfort that you have the relationship, and then none of those secrets being leaked or compromised in your security. So it can also apply for existing project in that case. So one of the big thing about using these combined projects that you can leverage Defender for Cloud, which is one of the platform that you use to search through different repos. So you can use search through GitHub repo, or Azure DevOps repo, and it's pretty much like a pane of glass to be able to just have your security posture, so you can use it to find any vulnerability in your code security, dependency security, developer code, and remediate anything that happened. Yeah, so you can also use it with pipelines as well, multi-pipeline, like the picture said, because I quite like these pictures. So this demo that we're going to do is comprises of 2 sections. So the first section is going to be on GitHub Advanced Security by Aldi. He's going to do second one. Now he's going to talk about the Azure DevOps side and maybe touch a bit of GitHub. And then I will talk about how you can easily set up workload federation and manually. Then I can show you how easily you can use Terraform as well with Terraform it. So do you want to show your screen, Aldi?
Yeah, let me share my screen. Screen share. What can you see?
Yeah, I can see your Azure DevOps project.
Yeah, my Azure DevOps. Oh, okay, yeah. So this is Azure DevOps, and currently in my DevOps, I've got 2 projects going on. I've got this one, which I created for the advanced demo. So first thing first, if you've got like a repository or a project like this, to enable the advanced security feature there, you go into like your project settings, and then you come into your repository here. And then for me, because I've enabled it for this demo purposes, you could see this like this guard badge, which shows that it's being protected. But if you've got like a repository in which not, you could just open it up, and then you'll see it will be off, for example. And then if you turn it on, it will then ask for billing. There's a billing to this approach, which is then connected to your subscription, which is billed, and I think is $45 per month for each committer. But this is there's a billing for it, so you enable the billing, and then it comes off. There's also what this tab does, the block secrets on push, means that if you enable this, any commit or any push that is being done on this repo that contains any secrets or any keys or any tokens will be, rejected, or will just be rejected, and then there will be like an error to tell you that it's there. So it's good to enable this feature so that it helps your developers when they are doing, when they are committing, in case if they've forgotten and they've exposed any secret to it. So that's it. Now, if I go into my repo, for example, and then I click on this advanced security, I've got like these are my files. I've created like a node application in which I've included some vulnerabilities and some secrets to it, just to make this demo interesting and just to show you the power of the advanced security. So if I come into it now and I start from secrets, for example, you could see that it's giving an alert to say, oh yeah, I've exposed like a Google API, just because it's done that secret scanning. And then if I try to open it up, it would tell me, okay, yeah, this is the file. This is the file, this is the secret in which you've exposed. And then it will give me recommendations, and then also give me some remediation steps to work around it. And then another feature is, it has created an alert. So based on the alert now, I can come and say, oh, okay, do I want to, have I, remediated it, and then click on revoke, so that it doesn't just keep appearing and becomes like an issue. Or I can say, okay, this risk is accepted. It's not a secret like that. Maybe it's just part of is an API or something like that. Or I could just say it's just false positive. I don't need that. And then I can also comment on it depending on your organizational policy too. And then another good thing is, because I've enabled that push now, if I go into my files, for example, and I go to my secret and say I have like an Azure ADO, and then let me just try, and that's an ADO secret to my, and I try to commit, let's say I'm trying to work on this application and I try to commit it we could see that automatically, because I enabled the first the push, is saying that this push is rejected. So even if I'm working on VS Code or anything and I try to commit it, it will come up with an error like this. And you could see from this error, it's telling me, the secret, the file where it's coming from, the line it is, and telling me that it's like the Azure like ADO secrets that I created. So he knows what it is and it's informing me, and then it won't commit it. So that's about secret, and then it will scan all your repository and then tell you which secret is being exposed, which is really good. And then the other thing to talk about is then to look at code scanning too. So, or no, let me start from dependencies too. For dependencies, for you to be able to enable this, for you to be able to look through your code and see if there's any vulnerability attached, you need to have created like a particular a pipeline which does that. And then let me open it. So first thing first, let's say your application, you've written your application, and then you've built it and everything like that. So first thing you do is you make sure that you add some tags, which is there are some 3 important tags that needs to be added. We have the initialize tags, which just initializes your code. But first thing first, you could do the dependency scanning. So what this tag does, it goes and it does like a scan through of all your repo or all your applications. Maybe after you've built your application, it just does the scanning, and then you can then add these other tags to it, which is the advanced security. As I explained initially, it uses the code QL, which is like a GitHub engine, security engine that can initialize your code, go through your code, and there are different languages. We've got like the JavaScript, we've got Python, we've got C++, we've got Ruby, we've got, so you can just add that to it, and then it initializes it. After that, then you can then create like analyze. So I want you to now analyze the code. Then it goes and it does that, and it analyzes it, and then you can then say, okay, I want you to now publish this result. When you publish it, then that's when it creates like notifications and alerts into your these advanced security, where you'll be able to have a look at it. So you need to create these three initialize, and these are the tags. Or when you've enabled it, is there, and then you can then add it to your pipeline. So when this is being done, the pipeline runs. It takes some time, but it takes some time to run through all your repository, and then it then comes up with results, which is this. So now looking at, because I've introduced some vulnerabilities into my code, so it's been able to look at it, and then it can say, okay, this is critical, this is high, this is medium, this is low risk, and then you can check it. If I've got different branches too, it will come up here and say, okay, it scans through all the branches. You can look at your open state or the ones that you've closed based on the ticket. It will look at the pipeline. If you've got loads of pipeline, it will scan through all the pipeline to look at the packages too of the vulnerabilities in which you've seen, and then it will then have this severity too. So you can click on it and then deal with it depending. So for example, looking at this now, it says like, okay, you can see this vulnerability, and he recommends that I upgrade from this version to this version to fix this vulnerability, and then it will tell you the location where he found this, this vulnerability. And then, he can also, I was talking about transit, and, if the vulnerability is also based on another vulnerability, it will tell you here, it will tell you the description, and it will then create an alert. So with this alert, you can create an issue based on this and try and fix it. Or if you want to say, okay, yeah, this risk is being accepted, you click on it, and then you accept the risk, you comment on it, and then it keeps going. So it does like that. So it will look through the stuff, and then different vulnerabilities being seen. And then also the code scanning too. This also looks through your code, your code in all your repo, and then also tries to recommend. So for example, now it looks through my code and could see that, okay, there's this route which shouldn't be there. It will describe it, give you a recommendation, go through like an open source. Okay, this is an example of what you did, and give you a recommendation of what you are meant to do, to fix it, and then also give you references. If you want to read more about this, you can click on this and then read more about it, and then you'll then be able to, you know, the same thing if you want to close it or make it a false positive. So from just this little, we could see that this goes through it makes sure that your code, your repository is safe. You know, if it will be rare for attackers, you know, to now come and then, you know, see any secrets or anything which they can use to bypass into your application. So this is just for Azure DevOps. I think I'm still good on time. Let me just show you. So for GitHub too, so it's also a tab to in GitHub. If you want to enable this, you just need to go into your settings in GitHub, come to code security and analysis, and then you can see this is the dashboard is more of like the vulnerability. So you can enable it, code scanning, you can enable it. You know, I talked about the code QL analysis, which will scan your code. So when you enable it, secret scanning too, when you enable this on here, then you can go into your security. So then it then looks through, it scans through your code, you know, secret scanning. Because I've closed it, it's saying no, but if I open it, you could see like it could find like there's a the Google API, which is in my code. It will do the code scanning to the same way it does in the in Azure DevOps, and tell you those those things that you could fix. You could also see here too that, you know, critical the same way it shows here, and then if you click on it, for example, yeah, it tells you exactly what it is, you know, who committed and everything, and then you can dismiss the alert to, you know, the same way, you know, you do, and then you can create an issue based on this. When you create an issue, then you can then assign it to a developer to try and fix it. And then, yeah, the vulnerability to, you know, it will look at the vulnerabilities to in your, and then also if you click on it, it will tell you what you need to do and then how to also fix it too. And then you can also dismiss the alert based on your company policy or how you resolve this, and create an issue based on this too, and get someone to fix it too. So this is how you can secure your code, secure your repository, secure your application using the advanced GitHub Advanced Security. I think that's all from me. If you've got any questions, I can answer at the end. So I will allow Nico to show the other one. Thank you.
Yep, so I'm going to show you some like a demo on workload federation identity. So let me quickly share my screen again. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so to get started with federation workload identity, it's in your project settings. It's the same of your project in Azure DevOps, and you will need it will be part of your service connection. I've created some for you here as a demo. So there's two ways to getting started. So you can either click on new service connection here, like a tab, new service connection, Azure Resource Manager. And there's two tabs. There's automatic one, which is on recommended one, or there's manual one. The automatic one automatically create OIDC on it and create app registration with Microsoft Entra for you. That one works, but then if you want more precisely, you would still need to do manual one, because manual one, the difference between the manual one is that you need to create a managed identity and assign a permission, and then be able to create the identity to it. So once you create, if to create workload one, you click automatic and then create one by test. The same way as you create one, normally a service principal. So let me just show you. So create one, test two, and it will be the same straightforward one as you normally create like an old service principal. However, to create a manual one, you will still. I've created a manual one here. Before I get started, I'll just quickly show you what it is. So the manual one that I should create one here is, I call it test, and it will give you an issue and subject identifier, and all this information. To get that, you need to go into your portal and go into the managed identity that you've created, because the manual one needs to have a managed identity to create it. And then it's on the federated credentials here on your managed identity, because I've created one called DevOps identity. To create one, you click add federated identity and it will be others. So I've created one before, and I'll quickly show you what it is. So once you click others here, you have to populate all these issue subject and subject identifier into this box. So issue subject identifier. So this is all the OIDC information that you need, and audience itself. So the audience is, you can see, it's the API Azure AD token exchange, even though it's Microsoft Entra. So yeah, that hasn't been updated. But you can see it's using Azure AD token exchange to validate the token between Azure DevOps, your project, and GitHub and the Azure resources. So once you've done this, the second thing that you will need to do is go to role assignments. Add a role assignment. The managed identity need actually the permission to authenticate to create the identity, to create the federation identity. You need to actually read the permissions. So you just read the permission through the role assignments. So I just gave mine a contributor access. So the next thing that you need to do is just two words to do. So once that's done, you can validate it. So one other important feature is that often, so this is a normal old service connection that's using the old connection. You get these options called convert your service connection to Workload Federation identity to improve this Slack. So you can choose convert button. The only difference is that this will delete your secrets after 7 days, but you can also revert back as well. So if not needed, you can easily revert it and go to old one. So this one sometimes this would have issue, but you just manually copy and paste from all this issue audience and subject into it manually, because sometimes it could fail. But sometimes this might be the best option if you want more simplified GUI based just click pops and just quickly test the Workload Federation identity. The second thing is, if you were to code it using Terraform and thing or pipeline, I'll show what it will looks like. So first things for any pipeline, this is how I do it in Terraform. So I would first, you can also use, I get it to read my project here, create resource group, create managed entity, like what I do for mine here. And this is the service connection, because this is using the Azure DevOps provider in Terraform, and it will create a service connection to it on the endpoint. And this is federated credentials as well. So this is using the federated connection that you see on Azure itself and populated. So the main point of it is you click on, when you go to the provide here, it's using access token, personal access token, but you can also use it if you want as enable OIDC token. I'm not tested yet, but I think this could potentially work. So my personal access token, you can put it in various options. You can put it in Azure DevOps, like a variable group as well. So you can see how it works in Terraform is that in order for OIDC to read and deploy in Terraform, you need to use this environment variable here. Use AD, Azure AD true. What this does is that it would tell the OIDC of Terraform here of personal access token to use it. And then that one would work. And then this is just my secret. So once you can, I've created one already called service principal here. And when you go back to what it will look like is, it should look like this. So you can see when I created a test one here, I quickly validate this. So if we go in the GUI of Azure DevOps, quickly show you. This is my test. You know, when I showed you before service connection, I create one identity manually by test, call it test. This is the test one here. And all I did was just did a incline script to list my resource group, Azure AZ resource group, output table. So once that's run, I run it before and it works. So this, it communicates to Azure itself, and it give you you can tell it's communicating to get all my resource group back. You can see these within the subscription. You can do this the same way as you do the Terraform one as well. So there's two ways you can do it. So in the Terraform aspect, this is how it would deploy. It will try to deploy those resources that I mentioned here. So once it deployed, you should get a workload federation identity like this, and you can see it's being managed by Terraform itself here. So let me think that should be it. So let me just quickly share the screen again. So let me share the other screen, sorry. Okay. So I want to talk about how you can secure Azure DevOps pipeline with federated identity. I little covered that in my demo before. So you can use it with Azure DevOps CLI task as well, but it only use the newer version of CLI tasks like version 2 authentication. You can also use it with custom Azure tasks and extension, but it may not support like federation identity yet, but it will do in the future. You can use it like Azure connected service like Azure Orem as well, because you can, before I try to use it, so there's a possibility. So it's also supported 2 tasks. You can support Azure DevOps Lab extension on Microsoft pipeline as well. Like task. So how it works is on the right hand side, you see a demo here, a diagram. It would fetch the token from like GitHub or GitLab in this, and then it would validate a token using Azure AD Master of Entry ID, and make sure the signature and current token match the provider itself. And if it match, it would just the CI/CD code would work, and then we would have access to your Azure resources as well.
Yeah, so in conclusion, we could see that integrating Azure DevOps, with the GitHub Advanced Security would help, to enhance security throughout the different stages of our software lifecycle, from developing it to implementation and to releasing it to. We could see that it will work to see that there's no secrets, being exposed. It will go through your code to see if there's any error in the code or any vulnerability. It will go through your code to see if there's any vulnerability or any vulnerability to it. So integrating this is a way of making sure that it's being secure. And then with the alerts being generated, you can create issues, you can create backlogs, assign it to different teams to be able to resolve that and make sure that your application is being secure.
Yeah. So one of the huge benefits of using workload federation identity is the huge saver of like secrets leak and stuff. It's like be able to have one secure environment like DevOps and then communicate to Azure itself without any secrets or get your security person to, and rotation that you have to. It's just more of a time saver now as well, because previously when you have someone able to automate the process of service secrets being deleted and things, but now with the new workload federation identity, you just use the OIDC module protocol, which will give you instance. It's a trust relationship between your repo itself, no matter if it's Azure DevOps or GitHub repo. And then once those trust relationship is being validated and by Microsoft Entra ID and have the correct permission, then you're able to have access to any other resource we give it as well. So both approach is good, but remember, you still need to apply best practice as well. Even though, like Defender for Cloud, Azure DevOps, you can still use it for, you still pick up repos from there, but it's often best practice to use the correct RBAC to increase the security posture as well, because even though Defender for Cloud can pick up certain feature like vulnerability as well. So both approach, I think, would help your security posture as well, as well as increasing your be aware of best practice. Anything else want to add?
Yeah, no, nothing. I think just integrating both will just help give you a more high-level security posture within your organization and for your applications.
So thank you. Also, I want to say a big thank you for listening to our presentation. Hopefully you learned something about workload federation identity, and then Defender for Cloud, and give you an option to be able to just test it and see. So it's quite a lifesaver, both new features, because it can still help your security in your environment. So yeah, thank you for listening. And any question, but if you scan the barcode, it will give you a link of any other research that you do. So regarding things, hopefully it will have some code as well. So it's like GitHub gist. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks guys for the great session. Really loved it. It was really helpful, but the best practices also was lovely. Thanks for the time taking on Saturday, and sorry also for the delay, everyone that we had with launching the session. I see no questions, so please just post your questions in the chat. We'll be waiting here for several minutes. Or if you don't have questions, the session will be immediately available on YouTube after we end the stream here. And then if you are watching later, and if you have any questions, you can then post your questions on LinkedIn posts, or reach out to the speakers, or reach out to us. It's totally fine. We'll be forwarding your question. And then you can also get an exam watcher afterwards. So it's totally fine. But for now, I don't see any questions either here in StreamYard on YouTube, and also in LinkedIn. There are no questions. Nicholas Adelaji, you have...
Yeah, that's fine. It means that we explain it well. Yeah. So if there's a question, just drop us a message, and then we will answer it.
Yeah, same here too. It means that we did a good job. They understood what we were talking about. So
it was totally clear presentation. Thank you so much. Okay, amazing. Then thank you all, and I wish you a great weekend, and see you in the next sessions. Thanks.
Okay, right. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.